1,000 grief counselors will be on hand at the Dadeville High School, where at least 2 of the victims were among the school's 485 students. It's an unreal tragedy, Dadeville High Principal Chris Hand said. I'm so devastated right now. We have a really good school, and these were great students. Now, what's really interesting about this is that the police have given very little details on what actually took place, how this happened, who the suspects are. Did the suspects die? Did the shooters actually die? Did they get away? Is there an active shooter that is like running around? You know what I mean? Anyway. So, we don't know, but most of the injured are teenagers.
Begin with some terrible news. It's a mass shooting in Alabama at a sweet 16th birthday party. 4 people were killed and 28 others hurt. Most of them were teenagers. Now, this happened at a dance studio in the city of Dadeville, Alabama. Witnesses report that there were multiple shooters, but so far, police have made no arrest in this case. There have already been 31 mass shootings just this month in America, and today is only the 17th day of April. Omar Villafranca is in Dadeville, Alabama, with more on the story. Omar, you certainly don't think of a Sweet 16 party as a deadly place, but that is the world we live in today, unfortunately. Good morning to you.
Good morning. When people say it can happen anywhere, this is what they mean. Dadeville is small town USA, population just over 3,000. The venue where it happened, right behind me, right on the old main street. That dance studio used to be the old bank. And for teenagers, this was probably the place to be this weekend, a birthday party. Everybody was probably talking about it, a Sweet 16. And then on Saturday, the unthinkable happened again.
Oh my God.
It's just like odd to say the unthinkable happened when it's, I'm even noticing the media coverage change around this to show you like how our culture surrounding mass shootings like this is changing a little bit. Like even they're saying the unthinkable happened again, as in like there is an air of like sarcasm in that sentiment, right? That's actually very important to recognize here, which means that like gun violence is becoming so normalized that our coverage and our response to it as a nation is also basically, and our lack of action against it is basically expected. I think that is, it's no longer seen as like inconceivable. You know what I mean? It's a very, very scary, very dark, very grim future that we are living in now. You know? The unthinkable happened yet again. Fucked up.
After Saturday night's deadly shooting at Mahogany Masterpiece Dance Center, ambulances, police cars, and parents descended on the local hospital.
It was people's everywhere, running and yelling and crying and going on.
I got shot right here. Right here.
18-year-old Tanaya Cox was shot 3 times. She says she saw multiple gunmen inside the dark club.
I just saw 2 in the bathroom, and that's why I ran.
Police have not released any details about the suspect or suspects and would not say if anyone is in custody for the attack.
We'll never be the same.
Pastor Ben Hayes led a vigil for the victims Sunday night.
I don't understand.
Most of the kids there were from Dadeville. This impacted us a lot.
He says one of the deceased is senior star athlete Phil Dowdell. It was his sister's birthday party. Their mother was also shot. Dowdell was just weeks from graduation and recently committed to play football at Jacksonville State next year.
He was a good person.
Daquan Doss says he was with Dowdell at the party, but the two ran in opposite directions when the shooting started.
I was standing right beside him. That thing, the shooting went on. I think he went right into it. I went opposite way. I wish I could have pulled him out.
Police have been very tight-lipped about this investigation. There's a lot we do not know. We don't.
Like, I don't understand. I truly do not understand how. I understand why this happens all the time. I've covered this story, this exact same story, a million times over. What I don't fucking understand is how the cops are not revealing more information about what is going on in this tiny ass fucking town, dude. This is not a major hub. It's a small town. Everybody knows each other. How the fuck are the cops not giving any additional information about whether or not who the shooters were? Did they die? Are they running? What the fuck is going on?
Know how many suspects they're looking for or how many suspects they're looking for, if it's 1, 2, based on what witnesses are saying. We don't know what kind of gun was used. We don't know the motive, but we're hoping to learn more at a press conference later on this morning. Tony?
Yeah, we know the result, and that's knowing a lot. Omar, thank you very much.
Calls for justice across the country after a Kansas City teen went.
I'm a fan of his. Let's see what he has. I didn't see a lot of media around it.
Performing one of his songs at Coachella.
For these things,
something that people have been waiting so long for.
And tells police departments what they can't say. I don't know why everybody does.
Insane.
I don't get it.
Is one of the few acts I feel like fans have to act.
I mean, this is a black town. So, of course, that, you know, that should show you, that can, you know, clue you in a little bit on, it clues you in, in Alabama about the nature of the relationship between the officers there and the cops there and the people that live there in general. It's oftentimes more antagonistic than you would think, like an occupying force. We're going to do this in a second. We're going to cover the story in a second, but I don't know if there is additional details on this. I don't know if there's any additional details because, like, this is an update, I guess. Is this from today?
My name is Mike Segrist, and I'm the district attorney.
No, this is from yesterday. They haven't given a new update on it yet, right? Guys, for the people in the chat speculating, what if it's the cops who did it or whatever? We don't know anything. Stop. Police do more, defund the police. Check W. Yeah, totally. Police should do anything, not more, anything, for how fucking adequately funded they are. Not only, they are the highest, they receive over 50% in some municipalities of all the fucking state revenue, all of the localities' revenue. And yet they still flub everything. Come on now. Aiden Ross's downfall. You fucking dummy. It's insane. They've also never even been defunded, but dumbass dick riders like you constantly fucking say, oh, dude, these guys, they have such a tough job and they're, you know, they're being yelled at and they're being defunded. It's like, no, that never happened. We don't know anything yet. I'm not saying like that there was a cop that did it or anything like that. I would like to know more details. I mean, I assume from what I've seen from people on the ground that have been interviewed by the media, they are shocked at the level of incompetence coming from the police in this regard. Okay? Where like the fact that they don't know if there's an active shooter still out there, for example, is insane. I don't know how long. Shocked? Let me out. No, they're still shocked at like, because there's incompetence and then there's like malicious negligence. When you see an active shooting situation where 4 people died and like 20 kids were injured, okay? And then you don't get details on like, you hear who the victims are, but you don't get further details on whether or not the shooter is still out there. Yeah, that's a little bit crazy. Okay, it's been 22 fucking hours since the last time they did the press release. That's wild. This is not like New York City where the shooter pulled an Assassin's Creed and like hid in the fucking crowd and ran away. This is a tiny ass town. Anyway. Yeah, but we covered all this stuff. I don't really know what will come of this, but at this point, it's just every day. It's just every fucking day. There's so much violence in this country. It's insane. Every day, there's another mass shooting happening in this country. Jesus Christ. Anyway. Given the severity of the stories here, I'm not going to run an ad break. I'm going to run an ad break, but I'm not going to segue it. Here's the 3-minute ad break now. I don't want to do like a fun, quippy segue in between. We are now moving on to Missouri. A teenager was shot after going to the wrong house to pick up his brother. And the person who shot him was questioned by the police and then released. Right. Let's take a look.
Went to the wrong home to pick up his younger brothers, and the homeowner shot him. 16-year-old Ralph Yarl is recovering in the hospital in stable condition. His family describes him as a typical high schooler who loves to play the bass clarinet. He has been looking forward to starting college and majoring in chemical engineering. Police say Yarl's family say that he was given the address 115th Terrace, but he mistakenly went to a home at 115th Street instead. The shooter has been released, and there is sparking protest nationwide right now and outrage nationwide. CNN's Camila Bernal live for us in Los Angeles with more on this. Good morning to you, Camila. What is the status on this investigation?
Good morning, Don. Authorities say more is needed to go forward, and they need a statement from Ralph Yarl. He is doing well. He's in the hospital. He's recovering. But the family says that this is a long road, especially when it comes to his mental and his emotional health. This is a teenager that is being described as friendly and well-mannered. He loves music, and the family says plays multiple instruments, always had one in hand. He was dreaming about graduating and going to West Africa. All of this, of course, is going to be a lot more difficult now because he went to 115th Street instead of Terrace. He was just a block away from his brothers when he was shot.
Bro, I can't
The Kansas City community protesting.
I can't begin to fathom how glaringly obvious the sentiment expressed by our institutions are when you see a situation like this where like a young black teenager is shot for the crime of like ringing on the wrong doorbell, and the mistreatment by the state of the perpetrator is like deliberate. You know what I mean? I'm sorry. It is. It has to be.
Goat. Am I?
Like, it's basically the same as like the Daniel Perry circumstance where it's like, it doesn't matter. Like, you are a criminal there's a reasonable doubt here of your criminality because you're a black kid. Okay? Because you're black. Like, they want to basically reinforce the incredibly scary precedent that, like, you shoot a black kid, that's stand your ground, baby. You know what I mean? That's how it is. And from what I understand, he shot him and then shot him again.
So you probably heard this story. It's really awful. The 16-year-old kid who knocked on a door in a house in Kansas City, Missouri to look for his siblings whom he was picking up. Wrong house. The homeowner, instead of letting him go on his way, instead shoots the kid in the head and then shoots him again. The kid survived and is in recovery, but is in bad shape, obviously. The kid was black. Kid is black. The shooter is white. And there's been a lot of conversation around this about racism, rightfully so, about the wide availability of guns, rightfully so, about the lack of a benefit of the doubt that black children get, rightfully so. What I want to bring up really quickly, just because of my interest in sort of the history of gun regulation, of gun culture, and this sort of thing, is how this is sort of exactly this scenario from the perspective of the homeowner, the white homeowner, this scenario of a young black person coming to your home, probably a criminal, whom you can then shoot, is exactly what so many mouthpieces for the gun industry has been selling for decades. It's part of the pitch that you own one of these weapons. You own a lot of these weapons to defend your homestead, to defend your home, and from whom this image of urban crime, of urban disorder, of essentially black people. It's part of the pitch. And I don't think you can understand what has happened here without understanding that.
Exactly. It's the same attitude. It's spot on. It's reinforcing the narrative of, it's reinforcing the narrative that you need a gun to defend yourself from urban crime. 100%. That's exactly what it is. It's the same principle behind the McCloskeys becoming famous within the Republican world for running outside with their AR-15s when there were Black Lives Matter protests happening in their gated community. This is a way to sell guns. It's a way to sell guns through a white supremacist fantasy of vigilante justice being enacted towards those who you are terrified of, those who you believe have done something wrong. Absolutely what's going on. That's why I said it's the exact same mentality behind Governor Greg Abbott fantasizing about immediately pardoning Daniel I don't want to fuck up his name. It's Daniel Perry is the shooter, I think, right? I don't want to. Yeah, it is Daniel Perry who was the. Yeah. Garrett Foster is the person who he shot. But it's the same principle. Because Daniel Perry went to a Black Lives Matter rally, said he was going to shoot people. He fantasized about shooting protesters, and then he drove his car into a Black Lives Matter rally and then shot one of the Black Lives Matter protesters. And he was convicted. He was found guilty by a jury of his peers beyond a reasonable doubt. Okay? And yet, Governor Greg Abbott wants to pardon him. Why? Because that's what they want. They want the law to protect them and them only. If you go out and you shoot Black Lives Matter protesters, you will be safe. Don't worry. That's the message they want to put out there.
On Sunday, after 16-year-old Ralph Yarl was shot as he was trying to pick up his siblings last week. Police say Yarl accidentally went to the wrong address, where he was shot and seriously wounded by the homeowner. Officers arrived at the scene after a neighbor called 911 and took the homeowner immediately into custody.
Our heart goes out to the juvenile victim, and more than anything, to make sure that this child and this child's family knows that there are people working hard, a number of people working hard, to make sure there is justice for this person.
The homeowner, who has not been identified, was released after 24 hours pending further investigation. The police department says they're waiting to obtain a formal statement from the victim and further forensic evidence.
I want everyone to know that I'm listening
What? Like, what? You need to know if he was asking for it? Is that what you want? What do you mean? Hey, what if he died? What if he died? No impact statement from the victim in that regard. So what do you do in that situation? You just like, oops, guess we can't solve it. We just need further forensic evidence. Like, what do you mean? A person literally just went up and fucking domed a teenager. This makes no sense. You would need that. You would need that if you believe that this person was truly acting in self-defense. Yeah, the kid is still alive, yes. And the fact that they didn't actually, like, you know, keep him under custody and immediately launch a formal investigation implies that they kind of do give him credence to that, you know, protecting your ground shit, you know, the castle doctrine.
And I understand the concern that we are receiving from the community. The information that we have now, it does not say that it's racially motivated. That's still an active investigation. But as a chief of police, I do recognize the racial components of this case. I do recognize and understand the community's concern.
Yarl's aunt says her nephew loves music and is a section leader in his march.
2 points of clarification concerning the shooting of Ralph Yarl. The suspect was not detained for 24 hours. He was released in under 2 hours after providing a statement to the police. 2, police recorded a statement from Ralph in his hospital bed on Friday. So, like, they already have his statement.
Marching band. She says his goal is to attend Texas A&M University to study chemical.
The cops literally are behaving like me memeing when I say, like, oh, well, what are the vibes of this kid? Maybe he deserved to be bullied, that sort of thing. But in this circumstance, it's like literally a real situation where a dude shot and intentionally tried to kill a black teenager that came to his door. Okay? Like, they're like, hey, but what about his vibes, though? Was he good at the clarinet? You know what I mean? You want to bet that shooter's a cop or is friendly with the police department? I mean, possibly. Who knows?
Engineering. Civil rights attorneys Lee Merritt and Benjamin Crump are representing the victim and his family and demanding swift action, and are calling the shooting horrendous and unjustifiable.
As a mother of 3 children, this enrages me.
And protesters gathering Sunday outside the home where Yarl was shot, demanding justice.
He is alive. He is healing. Yes. So I just want to tell you thank you for being here because my nephew is alive.
And the homeowner was released. State law says you either have to charge someone or release them after 24 hours. And authorities here say they need more evidence. They want to talk to this teenager.
Yeah. He wasn't released after 24 hours. He was released after 2 hours. So mainstream media playing a little fast and loose with the situation here. Also, no further evidence. Bro, he shot him. How much you want to bet this is some fucking Gran Torino shit? I don't know anything. Okay? I don't know what's going on, but I'm willing to fucking bet that this particular situation, it's an old racist ass dude, I'm assuming. And they were just like, oh, he's just an old guy. You know, he doesn't mean harm to anybody, you know, except for the obvious harm he's conducted. You know? So, what are we going to do? We're going to put him in fucking jail? He might even be like an old cop or something. Apparently he's 84. Oh, there's information on him already?
and they want to continue this investigation. So he was released, and it's part of the reason why people are so upset this morning and why they're asking for justice. Don?
A lot more to unfold in this investigation. Thank you, Camilla Bernal.
I want to turn now to some last-minute.
Wait. Accused teen shooter in Kansas?
The Kansas City community protesting on Sunday after 16-year-old Ralph Yarl was shot as he was trying to pick up his siblings last week. Police say Yarl accidentally went to the wrong address, where he was shot and seriously wounded by the homeowner. Officers arrived at the scene after a neighbor called 911 and took the homeowner immediately into custody.
Our heart goes out to the juvenile victim, and more than anything, to make sure that this child and this child's family knows that there are people working hard, a number of people working hard, to make sure there is justice for this person.
The homeowner, who has not been identified, was released after 24 hours pending further investigation. The police department says they're waiting to obtain a formal statement from the victim and further forensic evidence.
I want everyone to know that I'm listening, and I understand the concern that we are receiving from the community. The information that we have now, it does not say that it's racially motivated. That's still an active investigation. But as a chief of police, I do recognize the racial components of this case. I do recognize and understand the community's concern.
Everyone's a liberal. Everyone's a liberal. That's like, did Kamala Harris write this, dude? Everyone's a liberal. I recognize the racial components of this, but as of now, we do not believe that there's enough evidence to declare there's a racial component. That's awesome. Yeah, no, it's like, when they say that, they mean like, we know the victim is a black teenager and the shooter is a white guy. That's what they're saying, I think. But I don't know. Maybe he's not. Maybe he's not even a fucking white guy. Maybe he's a black guy. Who knows? I don't have any details of the dude, but old people or people in general in America are fucking terrified. Okay? Oh yeah, they said he's white, actually. Never mind. It is a white guy. But old people in this country, and just like Republicans in this country, gun owners in this country, are fucking terrified. Okay? They're fucking terrified. They constantly watch Fox News, and Fox News is like, black people are coming to your neighborhood. They're going to burn down your favorite Applebee's. Like, all day, every day, that's what they see.
Yarl's aunt says her nephew loves music and is a section leader in his marching band. She says his goal is to attend Texas A&M University to study chemical engineering. Civil rights attorneys Lee Merritt and Benjamin Crump are representing the victim and his family and demanding swift action, and are calling the shooting horrendous and unjustifiable.
As a mother of 3 children, this enrages me.
And protesters gathering Sunday outside the home where Yarl was shot, demanding justice.
He is alive. He is healing. So I just want to tell you thank you for being here, because my nephew is alive.
Now, the homeowner was placed on a 24-hour hold. This is according to Missouri state law. The thing here is, after those 24 hours, he either has to...
He wasn't. That's bullshit. Anyway. Neighbor spoke with CNN. Said they did not hear the shooting because they were asleep, but did say once awake. We came outside. The victim was laying on the street surrounded by a few of our other neighbors. Wild. So, like, a bunch of other neighbors came outside and didn't call the cops? Like, what the fuck? That's nice. He continues to improve. He's responsible for making good progress. After spending 3 nights in the hospital, Ralph is recovering at home, being cared by his mother, who's a nurse. Family turning Ben Crump. We have been informed by his family that it was a white man who shot their 16-year-old son, Crump said, explaining that he believes the teen was shot because he's black. It is inescapable not to observe the racial dynamics here, said Crump. If roles were reversed, he continued, how much outrage would there be in America? At a weekend rally, community and family members marched and demonstrated in front of the man's house, calling for charges to be filed. Protesters marched as they chanted "Justice for Ralph," "Black Lives Matter," and carried signs reading, "Ringing a doorbell is not a crime," and "The shooter should do the time." The teen's father said, "We want charges. That's all we want." The family is seeking swift action. When he was trying to pick up his younger brother, when he mistakenly rang the doorbell at the wrong house, a man shot Ralph twice and now is in critical condition. Someone called the cops or the man wouldn't have been arrested. Man, they didn't even call the fucking ambulance. Do you see? Like, they didn't call 911. People in this neighborhood saw a dude in their neighborhood shoot a black teenager in their neighborhood and immediately didn't go, gunshots, let's call 911. Something is missing from the story? Yes. Details about the shooter. The shooter's motive.